If you're looking at buying a house and you're scared, you are not alone. If you're new to this channel, I'm Jen Beeston. I've been a mortgage lender for the last 18 years. My team's one of the top purchase teams in America. We're happy to help you with all of this. 786-933-2077. Okay, what am I talking about? I think that fear is a normal part of the home buying process. It just depends on your personality. So I'm actually going through the home buying process again right now. I'm doing the shopping, I'm doing everything else. And it's really interesting from my perspective because it just goes to prove, even if you have all the information in the world, even if you know you're totally qualified, even if you know you can easily afford it, buying a house still has a lot of emotions to it, and one of it can be fear. There's some people that don't have any fear, okay? Like, let me be clear, there's some people that have no fear. But I feel like if you ever experienced any level of hard times in your life, whether maybe you watched your parents go through a foreclosure, or maybe your parents weren't really good with money, electricity got turned off, or you had something in your life where like maybe the spending got out of control and you had a bankruptcy. I feel like if you had any of that financial energy in your world, that you are going to be more scared when you're buying a house because you've already seen what financial instability looks like, and it's something you don't want to be near, okay? So if you're like, oh, because that's the thing. Most people are like, well, I'm just really worried about the payment. I'm worried about this. And they might have a really low debt to income, perfect credit, money in the bank. The fears aren't actually about buying the house. It's not actually about the mortgage. It's about what they saw in their past or what they experienced in their past. And it's about concerns of having more commitment and the risk of financial instability. So if you're having those fearful moments, take a minute, look at your budget. That's what I've been doing because, look, I know that my fear is driven by seeing a lot of financial instability when I was younger. I know that, right? But it still doesn't make it go away. You can be as rational as you want, but it's still going to be there. So if you're feeling afraid, what I would say is if you haven't done a budget, please do one. Look at what that mortgage payment's going to be with taxes and insurance. Go 10% higher, guys. Add on more money for when insurance goes on. Add on more money for when taxes go up and put it in your budget. Does it work? That's the $1 million question. Now, if you're like, I'm scared of my mortgage payment and oh my God, I hadn't done that and that doesn't work, well, guess what? Your fear was driven because you knew in the back of your head that that math was not mathing. But if you do all of that and you put it in and you're like, oh, okay, it does work, it's probably from your past. So you want to just take a minute and look at that and just be grounded with it. Like, I have to keep on doing it. And here's what I can tell you. This isn't my first purchase, but even though it's not my first purchase, all of that comes back. And my first house, terrified, I was so worried about the payment. It was a big jump, worked with the budget, everything else, but it was a big jump. It was scary. Within 5 months, I didn't even notice the payment. Second house, same thing, huge jump. Oh my God, how am I gonna afford both of these houses? No joke. And guess what? Within 5 months, didn't notice. The only time I didn't get the feels was when I was buying an investment property, which is kind of interesting. And I think it's just because with an investment mentality, you're like, someone else is going to pay the rent on this. It's not as worrying as you're going to be responsible. You're the one that has to make the payment. So bottom line is this. It's okay and it's normal to be afraid. It's okay and normal to want to puke when you see that mortgage payment for the first time. The key is finding out if your fear is based on something real, like what you're shopping for is more than you can afford. You can't actually really make this payment because here's the thing, lenders can get you into a lot of trouble. We can make you house poor. Sometimes people are afraid and they're not comfortable because their lender never went through the numbers and they never did their own budget. Do your budget, okay? And look, if you look at it and you're like, yeah, it doesn't work. If there's nothing you can easily trim from your budget, you need to look lower, okay? The key to getting rid of the fear And I say getting rid of, but it's always going to be there. Look, if you grew up with financial instability, like we all know this, it's always going to be there, but you can mitigate it so that you can move forward and, hit your goals in life. If you get that number that's making you want to vomit and you put it in your budget and everything's fine, if you're talking to your lender and they're like, no, like I'm not even using your overtime, your debt to income's low, then you really just need to take a minute and go, okay, I'm okay. I did my numbers, I'm okay. And just remind yourself that. And if you start to fear spiral, go back to your budget, okay? That's the trick. Fear spiral, budget. Fear spiral, budget. That will help. But look, it is normal to be afraid, especially when you're going up to a higher payment. But I can tell you from experience that as long as you're doing your numbers and your budget, that ultimately within a few months, that payment will not scare you at all. If you guys want to watch my journey on Instagram, I did it on Instagram because I didn't want to torture you guys on YouTube with shorts. Like I feel like you should opt into this. I am doing the play-by-play on Instagram, and yes, all of the emotions are there. It doesn't matter how many loans you close, how many people you help become homeowners, how many people you talk off the edge. When it's yourself, you go right back into that mode. Thanks for watching.